everyone, it's Julie Lawrence from Teacher Julie Online. Welcome to my channel. On my channel, I talk about working from home as an online teacher. I also like to talk about balancing your life as a work from home, stay-at-home parent while you are also teaching your own children. I am about to embark on a season of homeschooling. And so I'm looking forward to collaborating with others and maybe talking about some of the aspects of how you balance that type of lifestyle. So those videos are coming soon. I'm really excited about that. And so if this is something that interests you, I would love for you to subscribe to my channel. Here we go with today's video. So I debated on whether or not to talk about this. This is such a touchy subject, I feel like, lately, when you talk about how much money you make teaching online. And I know that so many online teachers are making videos about how much money they made. I made a video a few weeks ago about the truth I discovered about teaching online. You can check that out here if you want to see that one. But in this video, I am going to talk about my first $1,000 on the Outschool platform. Again, this is not really a video to talk about how much money I've made or compare my journey to anybody else's, because everybody's journey is so different, especially with the financial part of things. So this is purely just another informational video about another teacher's journey with their Outschool pay for those of you that are interested in things like that, because I do know that there are some teachers that are interested in that. I started working on the Outschool platform at the beginning of May. This is 2020. I started in May of 2020. I listed one class for several weeks. So the week of May 4th, I listed my one class 3 different times. So I did 3 sections of one 30-minute one-time class, and I got 0 enrollments that week. In fact, that class was canceled all 3 times by Outschool. And at first I was like kind of bummed, but then I thought, well, it's no big deal. I know that it's going to take a while to get enrollments. I wasn't that concerned about it because it was May and we were still in the middle of distance learning with our 3 children, and I was busy anyway, so I wasn't really looking to start a new job or anything. I was just sort of trying it out. So I let that go, not too worried about it. The next week, the week of May 11th, I had added 2 more classes. So what I had going, what I had in my class portfolio was a 30-minute one-time class for preschoolers called Teddy Bear Fun. You can actually see that here if you want to see an example of that class when I finally started teaching it. So I had that one listed, and then I had also received the email that Outschool sends with parent requests on what they were looking for, and I saw over and over that parents were looking for a class on telling time. So I developed that class, and I actually developed 2. I developed a beginning telling time class and a more advanced telling time class. So I now had 3 classes. I listed those 3 classes that week. 0. No enrollments. Okay, so I'm beginning to think that maybe this isn't what everybody said it was. I had a friend of mine that joined at the same time, and she was booking her classes like right away, and she was teaching art classes. And so I thought, okay, parents are looking for more of these elective type classes, maybe not so much core classes. I mean, we're getting to the end of the school year. Maybe these aren't going to book so well. But the 3rd week, I tried again, and I listed the teddy bear class, and I listed the clock class. And to get that teddy bear class rolling, I've talked about this in another video. I put it on my Facebook page, and I advertised it to my own friends with preschoolers, and that helped. And so that week, the week of May 18th, I had 5 classes listed. I booked the teddy bear class. I booked 1 section of that with 4 learners, and that was my very first class that I taught. And so it wasn't until my 3rd week of being on the Outschool platform that I finally taught a class. and I taught that one. And then I also booked both of the clock classes. So I booked one section of the beginning class and I booked one section of the more advanced class. And so of 16 learners that I had available, because I had 8 available slots in each class, I booked 11 of those slots. So that week on Outschool, I taught 15 students. And that week, I began to start seeing income. So this was exciting. So the last week of May, I opened up 2 or 3 more sections of the teddy bear class, no enrollments. And then I booked, or I opened up a section of the beginning clock class and a section of the advanced clock class. And I had 4 learners enrolled in one of them. And then I only had 1 learner enrolled in another one. And I taught that 1 learner, and it wasn't the best money, but it got me experience, and it showed that I had a class under my belt. So when parents are looking, they can see that at least 1 learner has taken this class. So that concluded the month of May, my first month on Outschool, and I made a grand total minus Outschool fees of $159.60. That's it. And I was okay with that, honestly. I really wasn't expecting the big bucks to roll in right away or ever. I mean, you really have to go into this not trying to match anyone else's experience on Outschool. And I know that's sometimes hard because you see the people that are making tons and tons of money. They like to talk about that. They like to share it. And so that's what we tend to see more often. And so I think that many people want to compare or think that their journey is going to be the same, and it's not always. So enter into June. I spent a lot of time in June, a lot of time, and I have also talked about this in a video, creating classes. I became a class creating machine. And so June was a lot more productive and lucrative financially for me. So let's talk about June. The first week of June, I offered the same classes that had my same original classes. So I offered the teddy bear class, I offered one section of it, and I booked it halfway full. So I had 4 students in that class, and then I offered my clock classes, and they were all booked too. Not full. I think I taught 15 students that week among the sections that I opened. So my first week of June, I booked every class that I opened. Again, I didn't schedule very many because this first week of June was our last week of school with our kids. And so I was continuing to wrap up all that distance learning, end of year stuff. And so I knew I didn't want to have a full schedule that first week of June. But everything that I did open in the late afternoon hours, they filled. And so that first week of June, I made, again, it's a pattern, $159.60. So now I'm getting excited because I have now made the same amount of money in 1 week that I made all of May. Now, again, May was a weird month. I didn't teach very much at all. But it was kind of funny to me that I made the same amount of money that week that I did last month. So now is when I started, my classes were coming back approved from Outschool. And so now I was able to start listing all of those new classes that I was making. So let's talk about the second week of June for me. So the second week of June, I listed 5 different classes. So I still had my first original teddy bear class. I listed it 1 time and it booked. I was still listing both clock classes. I listed 1 or 2, I think, sections of each, and they booked. I began my circle time class, which has been very successful. It's just like a morning meeting time class for preschoolers. I began offering that on Tuesdays and Thursdays every week through the summer, and it has been booked solid. It has been a great class for me, and I will continue to do that through the fall. And I opened a couple of math classes for elementary students, and all of those classes, except for one science class that I opened didn't book. It was about animals. It just has not gotten interest. It has never taken off. So I actually took that off of my schedule. I don't even have it listed anymore. But of the classes that I listed the second week of June, almost all of them were full. In the second week of June, I made just under $300. I think it was like $297 the second week of June. So I can feel it starting to take off. I can feel the momentum coming. By the third week of June, I had more classes listed. I had more elementary math classes listed. I listed a second section of the circle time class, and both of them were booking solid. So that was telling me this is something that I think I can carry into the fall. I think this is something parents are really looking for. Most of my classes, the third, I think we're on the third week of June, booked, and I made again right under $300. I think this time it was 287 or something like that. So we're inching closer and closer to my first $1,000. I know you're probably super bored at this point in the video, but we're almost done, because the third week of June is where I hit my $1,000 mark. So the third week of June is just about when I lost my mind. That's probably about the time that you saw that video where I was just probably about to fall over from lack of sleep and just a little bit of burnout that week. I had 10 different classes listed that week. 10. It was a lot. And some of those classes had like 2 learners, but most of those classes were full with 7 to 8 learners in each class. That's my top. And by midweek of that week, so this is the week of June 22nd. So if you go back to when I started May 4th. That week I first started opening classes. May 4th to now the week of June 22nd. In the middle of that week is where I hit my first $1,000. And I put it in quotes because I don't know exactly what day it was, like Wednesday or Tuesday or Thursday of that week. I could go back and try to figure out all that math, but you don't care about that. You just want to know that it took about 6 to 7 weeks to hit $1,000 on Outschool for me. So on the last week of June, there were only 2 days that week, June 29th and June 30th. And I booked almost all of my classes. They were starting to fill. Everything that I was opening was pretty much filling. And that week I made $280. So that rounded out the end of June for me. And in the month of June, my total take home after Outschool's fees was $1,355.90. So you can see that in May and June, I made about $1,500, and I'm happy with that. Now we are sitting at the almost last day of July. I will teach a class this morning, and that will be my last class for the month. And I am going to end July at just about the same as June, a little bit less. I will end July with almost $1,200. So I think it was $1,170 or something like that. My lifetime earnings that are on the Outschool, when you're an Outschool teacher, you have a dashboard and it lists your lifetime earnings at the top. I think it's at $2,500. So there you go. In May, June, July, 3 months that I've been teaching for Outschool, I've made $2,500. My first $1,000 took me 6 weeks to make. So all that to say, it's just informational for you if you're interested in that. It is certainly not to brag. I don't feel like that's anything to brag about, but I also don't feel like that's anything to, what do they say, shake a stick at? I don't know. Does that make sense? So basically, I just want to encourage you, especially if you're just starting out, to kind of get a feel for how it's going to go for you, how classes are going to book, before you maybe set some goals, because I really had no idea what to expect at the beginning. So I kind of took it slow at first, felt it out. I took it slow at first, and then I kind of jumped in a little too fast. But I really got a feel of how um, my classes were going to fill, what kinds of classes were more popular than others. And then when I started to see sort of a pattern develop, then I began to set goals for myself, financial goals. And so I take those financial goals, what I want to hit by the end of the month, and then I just do a little bit of math and I figure out how many, based on what I charge for my classes, how many do I need to teach each week? How many learners do I need to have to reach a weekly goal, which will then produce a monthly goal? That's a lot of math talk that I really didn't want to get into. But if you've listened this far to my exciting financial trek to 1000, then I appreciate it. I always appreciate when you watch my videos, and I love it when you comment and we can interact a little bit. Let me know how it's going for you. Have you hit $1,000? Have you hit whatever goal you have set? Was it different than you expected? Was it better than you expected? Again, everybody teaches different things, and different classes book differently than others, and some classes take more preparation, some teachers book back to back to back classes. Everybody is so different. And so again, like I said at the beginning, it's hard to make a video like this because I'm really not trying to compare myself to anybody else, nor should you. But I just wanted to put this out there as another one of my Outschool stories. I'm always happy to talk further with you about Outschool, about VIPKid, about homeschooling. Here we go on that, which I know nothing about. So anyway, thanks again for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, week, weekend, whatever it is when you're watching this, and I will see you next week.